Johannesburg preparing for this massive water shutdown for maintenance purposes. It's imperative that all municipalities take decisive action to address our water problems. This is one of them, albeit very, very inconvenient over the next few days. Waiting till we're on the brink of a crisis is simply not the way to go. So let's get some insights on what this kind of planning is going to secure for the water infrastructure for the next few years. Unisa Professor Anja Plessis back with us on eNCA. Prof, good to have you back with us. It really is very, very kind of you. So when we talk about water management, as I just said, this is annoying for Johannesburg residents, but this is a necessary evil, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, we've been calling for action and improvement in terms of maintenance. So it's good to see that Rand Water has started with that. We just need to make sure that we differentiate between the two. So this is Rand Water performing maintenance on their systems. It's not Joburg Water that is obviously doing maintenance in this context. However, obviously, Joburg Water has the responsibility to also maintain and upgrade their own infrastructure as well. So let's hope that this trend continues in future.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be very difficult for the next few days as well. Because give me a sense then, Prof, if you don't mind, if water maintenance or water infrastructure maintenance on a pipe this size, I mean, these are massive pipes we're talking about, is not done. 2-3 years down the road, you and I would be talking about and complaining about the fact that maintenance wasn't done. You can't have it both ways, can you?
Exactly, unfortunately. And that's why I'm saying that, this should be viewed as something positive in terms of us actually making a progress doing the maintenance. So what this will hopefully do in future is to ensure that the system is more reliable and also the availability of the infrastructure, reduce unplanned breakdowns, but then also allow flexibility for Rand Water as well as Joburg Water, so that if a pump station like Ekenhof is experiencing issues or problems such as unplanned power cuts, that the water can be diverted to Zeikerbos booster station to ensure that Joburg still has water.
Yeah, it's all a part of this planning and this network. I wish one day I can get into a helicopter and go and show everyone what it looks like. It's fascinating to see the network of pipes as well. How good are we, Prof, at water management, especially in the Johannesburg area? Because you're quite right. We need to do this maintenance now. Ekenhof and some of the other water pump stations are going to be affected. But take me down the pipeline. I mean, how good are we at maintaining the smaller pipes going into suburbs? Because we often see reports of burst water pipes there. So right now we're dealing with a massive pipe, but as we go down that pipeline, if you will, things get a bit worse, don't they?
Yes, unfortunately. If we look at the no-drop report that was issued in the middle of this year, together with the green and blue drop watch reports, it basically indicated that South Africa loses 50% of its water through physical leakages, theft and so on. But within the suburbs or within the Joburg water reticulation system, unfortunately, we're sitting with major water losses through leaking pipes, bursting pipes, and so on. And that's obviously also feeds into your water management. And unfortunately, our water management of the past couple of decades have been reactive. We're waiting for a problem before we do something. That's why I say, like with Rand Water actually doing maintenance now, it should be a good example for Joburg Water to also get their ducks in a row.
Yeah, get their ducks in the same pipeline as it would be as well. How far down the rabbit hole are we here, Prof? Are we at a point now where with all this maintenance that needs to be done, not just this example, but as you're saying, we're losing more than 50% of our water to leaks and theft, etc. Are we beyond what is practically possible to repair, or in your mind, is it possible to still get us back to where we should be?
Look, we have to be realistic in where we are. As I said, losing over 50% of your water even before it reaches the consumer is very concerning. So it is not where we've now reached the point of no return. What should be highlighted is in terms of this maintenance by Rand Water, I think everyone is running around not knowing exactly what the impact is going to be on their own household. So it would be recommended that water managers or the Joburg Water tries to improve their communication like we have now with load shedding with Eskom's Push app. But the primary issue is that we don't really know. They are saying that it will take 10 days for the system to recover. However, this might take longer if we don't manage the system properly, or we lose pressure, or there's unplanned water outages. But the main issue here is why we are sitting with a 58-hour water outage is primarily because of poor planning over the past 2 decades, where Joburg Water and the city of Johannesburg overall just does not have the buffering capacity to deal with such needed outages. Buffering capacity means that you have reserves available to all your consumers for, let's say, 2 days. Unfortunately, that buffering capacity, due to the increase in non-revenue water per bursting pipes, non-maintenance of infrastructure, has now declined. And that's why we're sitting with this prolonged water outage due to maintenance. If we had actually built more reservoirs or water towers and done our maintenance properly, maybe we would not have experienced this type of maintenance in such a big way, in a negative way.
Yeah, so what you're saying, Prof, as I say goodbye to you, this is essentially, it's a cumulative effect. So if we were better at maintenance, in little bits at a time, I want to say almost, drips of maintenance over the years, we wouldn't be shutting down for 58 hours. I imagine that's what you were explaining to me.
Exactly.
Just as I say goodbye to you now, what would be the first thing from a water management expert perspective? Where would you advise, just as Johannesburg, and yes, obviously this can extend to the rest of the country, but just in Joburg, where do we begin to try and get on top of all these problems that you just brought up? Just very briefly as I say goodbye.
Well, look, from my side, I would think that we need to do short-term planning. There has to be short-term actions so that we can manage the primary issues. And that would be to start with physical leakages and unplanned water outages. That would be the first thing, is to make a complete baseline assessment of where the city of Joburg is in terms of, maintenance and what needs to happen, and then go from there. This will not be solved overnight. But at least there is some kind of maintenance that we're seeing is taking place.
Yeah, it's a rough time to be in South Africa. Even worse, I would argue, in Johannesburg at the moment. Cold. We have no water, it seems, for the next 58 hours from tonight. And we have stage 4 load shedding. It's good fun. It's good fun in the country at the moment. Water management expert, Professor Anja Plessis, thank you very much. I'm sure we'll talk again. Always has a great way of breaking down for us why we are in the jam that we are in, Cindy, at the moment. Because as she says, if the work was done or over the last 2-3 decades, whatever it might be, it will just be a couple of hours. They don't have to go and dig out the whole piping system. But thankfully, at least, they're doing this now, so we don't have issues in years to come.